Welcome back, folks. No wooden nickels, they don't spin. And my content's for educational purposes only. Can't stress enough for you guys to do your own research. Praise my content. Throw any errors you find in the comments. None of us have been alive long enough to know all that transpired in the past, and none of us can live long enough to know all there is to learn. Which brings me to this evening's topic. Never feel as though your cup of knowledge is full. I repeat, never feel as though or carry on as if your cup of knowledge is full. You cannot live long enough to learn all there is as far as knowledge is concerned. Now let me set this thing up for y'all. Okay. One major reason in it, this one reason has tentacles. But one major reason, excuse me, people, excuse me. Pardon me again. As I was saying, this first reason has tentacles, and the main point to this reason is the fact that, first of all, you have to factor in that from the time we came out of the womb, we have been being programmed, our minds have been being programmed and trained how to think, what to think, what to do, how to do it, when to do it, etc. You know, problem with that is, I'm a 70s baby, mid 70s, and actually, there aren't many of us walking around that, I'll say what preceded the 50s, either mid or late 50s, still walking around. Point being is, too many of us have yet to reverse engineer just how it is and what was done by whom for us to be in the type of circumstances, living in the type of civilization that we find ourselves in today. When a person takes the time to reverse engineer today's society to yesterday's society, and by yesterday's society, I mean pre-1933. So, again, we probably can count on our hand the amount of people that we know that were born prior to that date, that year, and are still alive. to further my point, if you don't know or have yet to study world history and the history of law, as well as the history of commerce, you probably still mistakenly assume that the type of society that we find ourselves in, that we were born into, is just how it's supposed to be. It's how it's set up. It's how it is. 9 times out of 10, it's a whole lot. I mean, well, that's the premise of this video, to point out how much we haven't been taught about what's actually going on, about how what's going on truly affects us. Not to mention the history of law and world history, civics, the governmental programs that have been orchestrated, and ran with American citizens, or the people that inhabited this land at the time, used as the guinea pigs in these experiments / programs. On top of that, didn't take them long to corner the market for information. All the outlets, you have radio, television, entertainment, the music industry, the Hollywood and everything that comes from it. They basically cornered the market, and they've done so at the exclusion of our ancestors. That's another point. It just goes on and on. If our recent ancestors, parents, grandparents, great grandparents, and it's even safe to say some of our great great grandparents, depending on how close knit the family stayed throughout the generations. If they didn't know, anything relevant to the subject matter that I'm speaking of today, or that I've already spoke on since this video started, then how could they have taught their progeny, much less keep the information preserved until you got here? There's a clear-cut division, a line of division as it relates to the different levels of knowledge. And sorry to burst some people's bubble, just because you have a college degree or a master's degree does not entail you, or does not make you privy, rather, to all of the knowledge that I speak of. Not to mention how many of us can't trace our lineage back 3-4 generations. So that means that the Dawes and Consensus Act, your true nationality was lost in that, or at least concealed in that. I'll say that. You know, so that's just to name a few things. You know, but to continue, I want y'all to think about something. If you haven't been privy to the aforementioned information or topics of information that I pointed out, that would be the tentacles that I spoke of earlier, then how will you know how to liberate yourself from the conditions that we find ourselves in collectively today? That is, of course, unless you're happy and content, satisfied with the current so-called reality that we enjoy today. It's been my experience that in order for you to know how to escape a thing, it's pivotal and prerequisite for you to know how you were put in to a thing. What do I mean by that? Okay. If a person listening to this video does not, enter in or understand that the majority of us are government property. So if they own the body based on the lack of a rebuttal to their presumption that you are a 14th Amendment United States citizen, thereby subject to the corporate United States government, as well as their statutes, codes, regulations, and licenses. Did you know that Congress nor the government can create money? Did you know that there is no money? According to the Constitution, the only constitutional money is gold and or silver. Is that being circulated in our monetary system today? Reason why I asked that question, because, Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution states that nothing will be made as tender to a debt but gold and silver. Translation: you cannot pay a debt if you're not utilizing gold and silver to do so. So, okay, here we go. What does this equate to? First of all, it says it's a Federal Reserve note. The dual meaning of that: is a floating rate note. We all know about the foreign exchange. You know, whenever you leave the continent of America, you have to change the currency to the local currency of wherever you're traveling to. This is why the floating rate note is relevant. Now, what's the definition of a note? Evidence of a debt. These are debt instruments, basically IOUs. They equate to what is owed, because these you cannot use to tender, i.e. pay a debt. Okay, so let's back up for a minute. If you haven't done anything to regain ownership of yourself, of which you probably only had for a week or so, post-birth, until they created a corporate fiction as a transmitting utility in a trust, but the transmitting utility part is to gain access to you, the body, the living sentient being. How are they able to pull this off? Because they never let your parents know that the all capital representation of your name is a corporate person. It's a corporate fiction. It's not you. It's attached to you. It is nothing without your body. It is also, like I said, how they gain access to your body. The birth certificate denotes ownership. This is how they're able to oblige you to perform, i.e. pay, i.e. follow codes, statutes, regulations, apply for, register, and get licenses, you know. So if they own you, the body, then how can they not own what you thought you paid, keyword, paid for? I just laid out to you that there is no tendering of a debt absent gold or silver. Another thing that should make sense to you is if you paid for a thing and you have ownership of it, why is there a need for property tax? It's yours. You paid for it, right? Yeah. Okay. Moving on. You know, you never paid for it. You never did tender that debt. Be perfectly honest with you, you probably got fucked in the process. Because what creates the money is your signature. Anything you sign, whenever you willingly, knowingly, and intentionally give the 3 points of jurisdiction, which is name, social, and date of birth, they got you. Anybody that's been watching these videos that I make, if you will refer to the first and the second installment of Understanding the Birth Registration Process. One is labeled Understanding, and the second one is a redo of Understanding, because, again, as previously stated in a different video, the first recording of that topic, the recorder cut off on me, and so I had to do another one, and I give you different perspectives in both. It's not like I say the same exact thing. I don't read from any scripts. Only time I read from any sort of a script is when I'm reading from a document or a book, and I let that be known at the inception of the video. Other than that, I'm coming from up top. So, getting back to the subject matter, if they own you, how can they not own what you possess? At best, you're a title holder. And then on top of that, you're not the holder in due course. The majority of us. That brings me to, well, let me go back. I have to go back into something I referenced earlier, which is law. Once you realize that you are being used by the government via your corporate fiction, your corporate person, your ens legis, your straw man. It's another term, but it's fairly new to me. You'll hear me say that, after I've studied on it a little further, but you guys get the point. Once you realize that you're basically at the mercy of the government and the lack of studying any aspects of law, we've all been, but I refuse to continue to be victimized by that lack of knowledge. They make money off of your signature. When you sign anything, it becomes a promissory note, a promise to pay, thereby also becoming a negotiable instrument that will be securitized. Same way banks use fractional reserve banking. So, what happens is they get paid because that contract that you signed is as good as a check in their hands, because it's worth whatever the amount of the contract is. And you can bet your black ass they're going to go get that money. Problem with that is you don't know anything about that, so they double dip. And you also have to commence to some sort of labor whereby your wages are taxed, and that also is based upon being a 14th United States citizen without full disclosure, a meeting of the minds, agreement, or the other four aspects that must be present for a legally binding contract to hold its weight. You, as we all were and some still are being victimized because they're going to require you to perform on that contract, although they've already gotten the money. That goes for car loans, mortgages, pretty much anything that your name, the date of your birth, and your social security number is attached to. And again, like I said, I think I lost myself. I lost my place for a second, but I was referring to the reason which we pay taxes, those of us that still do, is because we were victimized. We suffered damage all based on signing contracts without understanding or having prior knowledge of the legal repercussions that would accrue or that would come as a result of our signing. So, if you're not able to pick up what I'm putting down about the topic of this video as of yet, then this video ain't for you. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah. I felt the need to come on here and really lay some things out for those who may not understand, because when you look at us, we walking and running around, like I always say, chest poked out, ego on 10, thinking that we really doing something, man. When this ain't nothing but a gigantic Monopoly game, just like the board game, just they playing with this shit in real life. And be honest with y'all, they ain't doing nothing illegal. The government, they are operating by the rules and processes of commerce. Again, the maxim at law that everybody watching this video needs to know and understand is the following. Ignorance of the law is no excuse nor defense. They expect for you to know law. We know they don't teach us no law. We know they don't know that if we opt for a PD, public defender, or we retain a lawyer, they know we don't know that means that we are incompetent, and that automatically by default makes us a ward of the court. They know we don't know that. They know in the first few words you say out your mouth, if it even takes the second or the third, that you don't know a motherfucking thing when it comes to these court processes, your rights, or the laws that protect you, and the laws that tie their hands behind their back. Now, why Why did I feel it was important to get on here and lay out some of these things that I've laid out for you guys? The reason I know it was important is because, first of all, what we don't know has, is, and will continue to hurt us all. It will not only hurt us, it will hurt our progeny. It will hurt those that we love, whether that be family or non-family, siblings, aunts, uncles, nieces, cousins, the cat, the dog, yeah, everybody. It's hurting us, man. It's been hurting us. The good thing about where things are at this point is the information is being made readily available, man. The information is out there, man. It's out there. Problem is, some of it may be cognitive dissonance. Well, what the fuck are they talking about? They talking all this crazy shit. I ain't never been able to, discharge no debt. I ain't never been able to write something on a piece of paper and my bill goes away. Yeah, that's what occult knowledge is all about. Translation, y'all. Hidden knowledge. Occult only means hidden. See, that's another thing that I had to do. I had to get away from religion. Now, I'm not knocking nobody, and it ain't no love lost to any of the people that I know and have a genuine care and concern or friendship or some sort of camaraderie with that is still enveloped in religion. Ain't no beef, ain't no love lost. But for me, I had to back up. I had personal experiences with religion. Not only that, I was the type that, I didn't just now today start researching and studying. This started some years ago. Actually, it's going on. It's actually let me see. It's over 20 years, man. It's over 20 years, man. I've been an avid seeker of knowledge, researcher, studier, seeker of truth. It's about 22 to 23 years, man. And it never ceased to baffle me, because the more I seem to learn, the more I realize I don't know. So I have to touch on the topic again, please. It would behoove us not to run around here with our chest poked out, thinking that we know it all because we got a piece of paper stating that we have a proficiency at a topic or a subject. So to proceed from here. Why is it important? Because actually, for those that are willing to do the work, because we all know there are no elevator rides to any top, to any apex, representing a place in life we want to be or are striving to arrive at. One must study to show him or herself approved. And listening to a bunch of jokers that know how to talk ain't it. There's numerous videos I told y'all, don't take shit I say. Do your own research, please do. Prove me wrong. There's money all around you, man. Money all around you. I tell you, man, if I had to lose everything that I have, there's no doubt in my mind I will be able to get it all back. I've done it before. I've done it more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. But if I had to do it again, with what I've learned, I would get it back. But it would be unrecognizable to what I have today. It's money all around us. I'm telling you, man, all you gotta do is start setting some time aside to research some of the things that I talk about on this channel. So all you gotta do, man, it's 12 hours in a day. I'm no longer under the the blindly followed misinterpretation that there are 24 hours in a day. That's just an example of how we were taught and trained to think. There was originally 13 months in a year. We only have 12. Come on, man. I could go on for days giving examples of why you should trust no one's information and start studying and researching for yourself. You know, it's I took things kind of personal, and I even take it personal for others. Because you know, just like anybody, man, I wasn't always as chill. I wasn't always as laid back in the cut as I am today. You know, and every time, with the exclusion of none, I went to jail, it was behind chasing these funky ass floating rate notes, Federal Reserve notes, IOU notes, these evidences of debt. Every crime, with the exclusion of none. Well, no, there were a few, I ain't gonna lie. But 99.2% of the crimes I've ever committed within this lifetime were in pursuit of fiat, this paper currency that lacks substance. So many brothers and sisters have been lost, either behind or in pursuit of these funky ass, colorful pieces of paper. You know how many people that's doing forever right now? Victimless crimes, may I add. Victimless crimes. Drug dealing is a consensual situation. You can't sell shit if a motherfucker ain't coming to look for it. And I'm not taking up for nobody. I'm just spitting the facts. You know. I'm not going to have no weed or no other kind of drug if I don't go out and look for it. True or false? You know? Then you got, I'm really not, I didn't have any intention on, derailing off of the subject at hand. However, I do want to mention this. You have these people, that child predators, these officers, the former takes innocence and harms children in a way that is a lot of times irreparable for the duration of life. Only the lucky ones get over that. The fortunate ones. And the latter, they get away with taking life. Because they fucking scared. Or they just have intention of catching wreck. You know how cowards do once they get a little power, right? As soon as a coward gets some power, you already know what time it is, right? We've all seen it. Some of us see it on a daily fucking basis. But I digress. So many of us have been lost, either, freedom and or life behind these IOUs. Okay, so I took it personal the day I found out that this shit was all a joke. It's really not all a joke, but that's, the way I termed it when I realized, that we've all been being deceived. It's actually not a joke, though. See, commerce has rules. Commerce has principles. Commerce has a certain way it operates based on said rules and principles and processes. The only way they advantage over us is that we have yet to learn. Because once you learn the rules of that game and you start playing by the rules of that game, indulge me for a minute. Think about any other game that we've been privy to learning and partaking in. You got boxing, you got golf, you got basketball, you got hockey, you got gymnastics, you got swimming, you got track and field, cross country, lacrosse. You name it, we dominated. So that's another strong point in why I came on here to do this particular video, man. See, what they fear the most is when we let the bullshit go. We let the childish shit go and we stand up and do as adults do, which is handle our commercial affairs. When we get into the mindset and we begin to convert everything over to whatever mode we need to, whether it be a trust, LLC, S Corp, partnership, whatever, where we start owning nothing and controlling everything and holding, no, not holding, but acting as creditors here and here, as opposed to debtors, as opposed to slaves. That's another thing I'm tired of seeing, man. It's not necessary. I used to see it when I was in jail. That's how I knew who was a coward and who wasn't. Use a gorilla amongst your peers. Little old white boy, come on the tier. You know, they come in your cell, your shit, you know, especially if you live like I did when I was in there. My shit's all folded up, clean. I done hand wash my shit. I don't send it to the fucking laundry. I hand wash my shit. I GI my cell. You dig what I'm saying? They tossing my shit all in the floor and dumping shit out and all that, man. That's one of the ways I stayed in trouble. Cause I know you work here, my man, but I live here right now. And if we gonna keep having these issues, you gonna keep disrespecting my shit. And it's only one or two ways we gonna be able to deal with this. Cause if we can't get along, you know what's left. I can't count the amount of times I've invited a CO in my cell. Wasn't about me beefing with the people I'm locked up with. We all in there trying to get by. And keep our minds outside the walls. You know, I did do some fighting, you know, but that was in Philly and in Maryland. You know, the only incidents I had in Delaware while I was incarcerated was with the COs. But I mean, when you incarcerated somewhere by yourself and don't know nobody, you can expect before respect is shown, the tests are thrown. You take that for what it's worth. But yeah, yeah, man. You know, it's money all around us, man. You know, we basically have everything we need. If you got a phone, you got enough. You got you a laptop and a phone, you in the building. You got a laptop, a phone, and a desktop, you winning. Now, you's a made man for as, you know, aligning yourself with the information. If you got all three of those and a budget to get the books and the dictionaries and, you know, the books that, you know, they got, yeah. So in case anything digital goes down, you have them tangibly in your possession. Another thing, not only is it money all around us in the form of credits, if you know, you know. Anyway, not only is it money all around us, but it don't make near a bit of difference how they change this currency if that what ends up happening. They can change the currency to whatever the fuck they want to. Guess why? Still ain't no substance. They still ain't reverted back to the constitutional mandated money, which is gold and silver. So guess what? Same rules apply. That's another thing while I'm at it, man. You know, it would be nice if people would stop allowing these people, the government, the news, you know, all these public outlets of information, man. Stop letting them scare you, man. They doing that because they need us to react and respond in a certain manner in order for them to make their next chess move. These for all my political enthusiasts. Come on, man. Y'all gotta wake up, man. You know, and I'm not even that heavy into politics at all. But, you know, it's really not hard to see through all that shit. You know? Fuck would I vote for any of them clowns for? No disrespect intended, but if you're offended, can't take it back, handle your business. It just is what it is, man. It's a circus. It's not real. They operating under two forms of government. They superimposed democracy over the republic. And it happened so long ago that if you are not a researcher or willing to become a researcher, then you will never discover how and by which methods it took place. You definitely won't know how to gain access to the common law, where the only crime you can commit is if a living, breathing person, no, a living, breathing, sentient being. I'm going to get out of using the word person because I know what it legally means. Nothing like what you think. Anyway, a living, breathing, sentient being has to appear in court and point you out. Yeah, that's the one right there that damaged my property or damaged me. That's the only crime that you could commit in the common law. You see it all the time on the move. Well, back in the day, yeah, where I work at, you got a bunch of cats that watch cowboy flicks and shit at any given opportunity, and it depicts it on there. How else would now? I'm not the first one to say this. What I'm about to say right now, you know, was pointed out to me in something that I saw, so I'm gonna just pass it along to y'all. How else could people back in the days of cowboys, not that they don't still exist, but I'm talking about, you know, before this type of civilization, when, you know, they could be in a saloon and two guys find issue with each other and they go right outside the motherfucking bar. Sheriff's station can be right next door and they can 30 pace it and bang out with no repercussions from the law. How do you think they were able to do that? Because shit like that did happen. Just take a guess. First of all, yeah, it was common law in play. It was a republic. We were operating under the republic, like in school, into the republic for which it stands, yeah. Prior to all of this statutory law, maritime admiralty, you know, public policy and all that shit, we were sovereign. We were sovereigns. And the government can't do a motherfucking thing to you that you don't consent to being done. Let me say that again for y'all. the government cannot do anything that you do not consent to them for them to do. So, man, I believe, that basically what I came on here to convey has been conveyed, and anybody that's interested, man, just do your homework, man. A great place to start is a UCC1 financing statement. Prior to doing that, though, I would go to Vital Statistics and pay the $25 for a certificate of live birth. That's not going to be the short form. That's going to be the long form. It's going to have the hospital, your mother, your father, if he's on there, the doctor, the time of birth. It's going to have all that. You get that, you can either go straight to Arlington, Virginia, Office of Authentications, U.S. Department of State. I just talked to the people today. It's going to be rerouted to Washington, D.C. anyway. But that is the federal authentication. You could either do it just on the federal side, or you could do it, at your Secretary of State and, the federal. That way you covered. Then when you get that document back, you go ahead and file it. While you're waiting on it to come back, you do as much research as you can on the UCC1 financing statement process. There are plenty of videos in circulation. All you got to do is just tap it in on YouTube and just learn what you can learn. Start taking notes and don't stop until you run across enough videos, or some people actually do tutorials where they run through the whole process for you, step by step. And again, anybody that chooses to do so, don't take their word. If they're good with their shit, they're gonna not just tell you what you're doing, they're gonna tell you why you're doing what you're doing. And then you're gonna have a lot of people that's gonna inform you of the laws applicable to these processes. You're also going to want to, I've already mentioned this in one of the previous videos, one of the last two videos, acceptance for value is something you want to learn about. A good document to get is the redemption manual. You want to get the very first redemption manual by R.V. Bay. You want to study that, because that's going to give you a foundation from which to stand on. Do not be in a rush to do this shit until you understand it. And that's, that concludes, my suggestions and, my input for this video. As is always, man, it's my hope that these these messages, have been helpful, informative, and gave you guys something to think about, other than the everyday same old same. But if you like me and others, and you want to be able to, you also want to study trust law as well. Learn about all the different types of trusts that you can get, to protect your assets, and work towards building generational wealth, man, or a legacy for yourself. A lot of people talk reparations, etc. There is actually, what is it? I got it too. There was a trust, a miscellaneous trust erected. I'm going to get back to y'all on this, but I'm just going to paraphrase it because it is factual. I believe I went and got it printed out. I have it somewhere over here. Yeah, to my left. I just got a matter of fact, that may be, I might do a short on it or something, as soon as I find it. But there was a miscellaneous trust done in the past for $42 trillion. Guess who for, y'all? The American Indian. And if by chance you've been disillusioned by the propaganda and the misinformation being propagated, look in the mirror. There's your American Indian. Yeah, even through all the plagiarization that's been done, the misrepresentations that have been put out, you look in the mirror and you looking at an American Indian. Anyway, man, as is always, it's my hope that somebody was able to gain some type of benefit from this message. And hopefully you guys gain something from my effort. So with that being stated, y'all be safe, be blessed, and dangerous whenever necessary, only if necessary. All this unnecessary violence ain't even necessary, man. That's another thing in closing. We need to also work on ourselves, man. There's nothing but room for improvement in every aspect of our lives. We need to actually develop some sort of emotional intelligence, maturity, and exit our emotions, man. Learn how to process your emotions, ingest and dissect, then let go. Emotions are like the bus, they come every few minutes. Stop making decisions in the heat of these emotions that have lifelong effects. Trust me, it just ain't worth it for what's coming down the pike eventually. And I ain't just talking about man's law. I'm talking about spiritual and universal law as well. So I'm out. Y'all be easy. Catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.